Studies at the University of Cambridge offers a wide range of disciplines: history, literature, social anthropology, film studies and international politics. We also provide our students, both undergraduates and graduate students, with the option of studying classical Japanese and pre-modern literature with a focus on the early modern period, it is to say the 17th, the 18th and the 19th centuries. Undergraduate students can opt for studying classical Japanese in their second year. While reading funny and engaging short stories, students master the classical grammar and hone linguistic skills to become independent readers of all sorts of pre-20th century materials. In their fourth and final year, they can choose an advanced course or paper in the Cambridge jargon, where they consolidate and further expand their knowledge of the classical language. They can also select a paper that focuses on early modern Japanese literature and culture. And next year, 2020-21 for example, we will be working on early modern picture books, a genre of early modern literature that triggers important questions about the nature of literature itself. Postgraduate students who work on early modern topics normally come with us with a solid knowledge of classical language, and our one-to-one supervision system enables them to concentrate on their research projects while reading a large number of primary sources. The care we take in providing a form of teaching that caters for each student's needs, the rigour of our pedagogical approach, as well as the passion that we put in our job, enables students to reach impressive levels of proficiency. And that allows them to produce original research in the form of coursework essays, undergraduate dissertations and postgraduate theses. Today, a group of students joins us to share their research projects.
Hello everyone, I am Joseph. I am currently on my year abroad at Rikyo University in Japan and about to go into my fourth year undergraduate at Cambridge University.
Konnichiwa. Hello, I'm Tess and I was a Japanese studies student for 4 years at Emmanuel College, Cambridge, and I've just graduated from the Faculty of Asian and Middle Eastern Studies.
Hello, my name is Freddie Fielden. I'm about to enter the first year of my Japanese Studies PhD at Trinity College.
My name is Helen and I'm in the first year of my PhD at the University of Cambridge.
I am focusing my research on a genre of pre-modern literature called kibyoshi, which most commonly are translated into picture books. In the modern sense, a picture book is a very, very childish and very shallow form of literature, but that was absolutely not the case in the pre-modern setting. The book I am reading is called The Ningen Ichidai Godo Meisho Tori Annai, which is a parody of pre-modern travel literature. So what it does, it takes the names of places and roads and cities and mountains and twists them in such a way as to create a guide not to how you travel to Kyoto, but instead how you gain enlightenment and actually more importantly, from a prodigal perspective, how you make loads and loads of money over your life. So one of the reasons I'm really interested in this type of literature is how it plays with visuals, how it plays with text in a really, really intriguing manner. If you look at the text on screen now, you'll see the two maps. On the right-hand side, the map of enlightenment, with such places as the Shojiki-yama Bunzanji, the mountain of wealth and honesty and frugality. And on the left side, you have the map of getting lost, with places such as the Kakeochi, the lake of eloping. And if you can read your katakana, you will see that on the left side, the roads are laid out to say Satoru Beshi, you will be enlightened. And on the left side, the roads and lakes are laid out to say Mayo Fu Na Yo, you must not get lost. So the author has put all of these jokes into a purely visual medium and done it in a really, really intriguing way. And he continues to do such things all the way throughout the text.
So my undergraduate dissertation project is called Spilling the Pomegranate Seeds. I worked on a text written by the Kibyoshi picture book for adults, author Santo Kyoden, and the title of the book I worked on is Kengu Irigomi Sento Shinwa, the wise or wisdom and folly mingled. And this is a book that revolves around the world of an Edo period public bath. It was published after the Kansei reforms that led to very strict, or allegedly to strict and rigorous, book censorship. It inhabits a stratum of pre-modern literature that is most commonly dismissed as being heavily didactic. What I do argue in this dissertation is that the Kengu Irigomi is a picture book that has many different layers. Of course, there's some didacticism in it, which is also portrayed in a very, very appealing way. But then, so I focused on all the different wits that are in it, interesting linguistic elements, as well as the nature of the Kibyoshi, the images, the verbal text of the illustrations. It's a text that is so full of puns, and I have a whole section about puns that I regard as the vital energy of this book.
Looking at the life cycle of Gorkan, a genre of early modern popular illustrated prose. My particular focus is Gorkan that have adapted other books in other genres, across the late Edo period into the Meiji period. I want to explore what happened in these literary transformations, what changed structurally and thematically in terms of text and image, and use that to give us a better idea of how books were written and how they were read in 19th century Japan. One of my case studies is taken from the 1850s, a Gorkan series called Yumi Harizuki Haru no Yubai, which is an adaptation, an extended rewriting of Kyokutei Bakin's celebrated Yomihon Shinsetsu Yumi Harizuki from 40 years before, which depicted the swashbuckling adventures of Minamoto Tametomo, who ends up shipwrecked in the Ryukyus. This process of adaptation involved a kind of digestion on the part of the author and illustrator, because the earlier Yomihon were much longer with significantly more written text, and the later Gorkan have a different composition, text fitted around illustrations on every page. So through my research, I hope to uncover what was kept, what was removed, and above all, the reasons for these changes.
I'm working on a kind of text that was popular in Japan in the 17th and 18th centuries called Nyohitsu. The name means the woman's brush, although actually men also wrote it. And these are books that show readers a very elegant and difficult kind of calligraphy. Looking at one of them, we can probably see at least one reason why this calligraphy was wildly popular during its heyday. This one is by probably the most famous practitioner, a woman called Hasegawa Myote. You can see a very dramatic kind of script with bold, rounded lines, as well as very fine, delicate strokes, very connected. And here we can see the way the brush lightly dances upwards, joining the bottom of one line to the top of the next. This is not something that's practiced in calligraphy anymore. There's more going on than just brush handling though. The last sample letter in the book shows how the text drifts diagonally downwards. We've actually got two layers of text here. We read the large writing first, and when we get to the end of the letter, we go back to the beginning and read the smaller writing. So we can see that the page works in a completely different way to what we used to. I'm researching the relationship between the calligraphic style, the writer, and the content. In other words, who would write in this style, when, and for what purposes?
Studying classical Japanese at Cambridge University is probably the best choice I made. It taught me how to read classical Japanese. It introduced me to all these new types of literature, all these new ways of thinking about what we think literature is. All these new ways of thinking that were present in the 1700s and 1800s that I would never have even considered. All of those doors were opened by studying classical Japanese that I wouldn't have been able to go through without this course.
I came across this text that was about an Edo period public bath, and I thought it'd be more interesting to hear what people of what Edo period people had to say about it, what their experiences were, and I thought that I could work on this topic because I had the privilege to learn classical Japanese in my second year as an undergraduate student at Cambridge, and that really allowed me to to kind of understand how classical grammar works, and it gave me the freedom to say I can work on a classical Japanese text for my final year dissertation.
It goes without saying that I would never have been able to embark on this kind of research without the solid grounding in classical Japanese language and literature that Cambridge gave to me. Although Heian period poetry from 1,000 years ago has its own rules and can look quite different at times, it has a surprising amount in common with the present-day language. Studying classical Japanese is the key that opens the door to experiencing firsthand more than a millennia of literature and history, an embarrassment of riches. Quite apart from its world-class library and resources, Cambridge is also at the forefront of research into pre-modern popular literature. Together with a strong technical understanding of classical Japanese, the faculty also nurtured my critical and theoretical skills, enabling me to fully engage with this important area of study. We have so much still to learn about the culture of Japan through these fascinating books, sometimes big hits in their day, now unfairly forgotten. Put simply, this community of scholars and students at Cambridge is an exceptional international hub, building bridges between the Japan of the past, the Japan of today, as well as the world at large.
Classical Japanese is absolutely vital for thinking about anything before the 20th century, not only for history and literature, but also whether your interest is in post-colonialism, gender theory, or philosophy. With classical Japanese, a whole world of pre-modern writing opens up from the 9th century to the 19th century. It's travel diaries, fiction, art, letters, government documents. Some of these works really challenge the way we think about things in the 21st century, and many of them are also really beautiful.